Apache woman joked she'd be his if the cowboy found the ring she lost, her shock when he did. Apache woman joked she'd be his if the cowboy found the ring she lost. Her shock when he did the ring was gone before she even noticed the cowboy was watching her. Nora Red Cloud had been standing at the edge of the trading post porch, turning the silver band around her finger the way she always did when her mind was somewhere else, when it slipped. 1 second it caught the afternoon light. The next it vanished into the dry red dirt below the porch boards. She dropped to her knees without thinking. The dust came up around her hands. She swept her palms across the ground, felt pebbles, felt grit, felt nothing that was hers. The ring had belonged to her grandmother. Not expensive, not famous. A thin silver band with a small turquoise stone set in a simple claw mount, the kind of work that does not come from a store but from a person who knows what their hands are doing. Her grandmother had worn it every day for 40 years. Nora had worn it every day for 11. It was not in the dirt. She pressed her cheek to the porch boards and looked beneath them. Dark under there, cool. She could see a glint of something but could not reach it. You lose something. The voice came from above and slightly to the left. She did not look up right away. She kept her hand reaching under the boards, fingertips brushing air. My ring, she said. Under the porch. Looks like. A pause. She heard boots shift on the wooden steps. Then the man crouched down beside her, not close enough to crowd her, just close enough to see what she was seeing. He was a cowboy. That was the first and most obvious thing about him. Not a costume cowboy, a working one. His hat was sweat-darkened at the band. His boots were real work boots, not decorative. His hands, when he pressed them to the boards to peer underneath, were the hands of a man who spent most of his hours outdoors doing things that required grip. His name, she would learn later, was Cole Denny. He was 29 years old, had grown up on a cattle ranch in the eastern part of New Mexico, and had driven into town that afternoon to pick up a fence part that had taken 3 weeks to arrive. He had no particular reason to stop at the trading post except that he was thirsty and they sold cold drinks. None of that mattered yet. What mattered was that he was crouching beside her in the dirt, squinting under a porch, taking the problem seriously. I can see it, he said. I can see it too, I cannot reach it. He reached. His arm was longer than hers. His fingers went further under the boards. She watched the side of his face while he concentrated, the slight tension in his jaw, the way his eyes went still when he was focused. His hand came back empty. It moved, he said. The ground is sloped under there. He stood up and looked at the porch structure. It was old. The boards were not nailed down on one end, just resting in place the way things sometimes are in old buildings where fixing something properly keeps getting delayed. He looked at her. She looked at the boards. May I? He asked. She nodded. He lifted the end board. It came up easy. He set it aside carefully like he was handling something that deserved respect. Then he reached into the gap and his hand came up with a ring between 2 fingers. He held it out. She took it, put it back on her finger. Let out a breath she had been holding for the last 4 minutes. Thank you, she said. Happy to help. He put the board back, set it down just the way he had found it. Then he stood and brushed his hands on his jeans and looked at her with an expression that was not quite a smile, but was something in the neighborhood of one. Nora Red Cloud was 31 years old, the daughter of a woman who had taught her that the world owed her nothing and that she owed the world honesty. She had grown up on the Mescalero Apache reservation, had left for college, had come back. She ran a small jewelry and craft business out of a studio behind her house and sold work at the trading post and at 2 galleries in Santa Fe. She was not the kind of woman who made promises she did not mean. But she was also, in that particular moment, a woman who had just watched a stranger do a small, kind thing without making a production of it, and something in her was light with relief and gratitude, and something else that did not have a clean name yet. You know, she said, and she was smiling when she said it, the kind of smile that holds a joke in it. If you had found that ring, I would have had to marry you. He looked at her. Old Apache custom? He asked. No, she said, just me. He laughed. It was a real laugh. Not performed, not the kind that men use to fill silence, the kind that comes up from somewhere genuine. Well, he said, putting his hat back on, I did find it. She was still smiling when he walked to his truck. She watched him go without meaning to. He did not look back. She stood there for a moment with her grandmother's ring on her finger and the afternoon sun on the red dirt, and a feeling in her chest that she could not quite identify, like a door she had not known was there had just swung open an inch. She told herself it was nothing. She told herself that for the next 4 days. Cole Denny did not forget what she said. He was not the kind of man who made a big event out of things he was thinking about. He did not call his friends and talk it through. He did not write anything down. He just drove back to his ranch and fixed the fence and fed his horses and went to sleep and woke up thinking about a woman standing in front of a trading post in the afternoon light, telling him she would have had to marry him. She had said it as a joke. He knew that. He was not foolish enough to think otherwise. But there had been something in the way she said it that he kept turning over in his mind the way you turn a stone over and keep finding it interesting from different angles. The smile that went with it. The fact that she had watched him put the board back. The fact that she had said, "Just me," with a certainty that did not feel like a joke at all. He went back to the trading post on Thursday. He told himself he needed to stop in town anyway, which was true, though the trading post was not strictly on the route he would have otherwise taken. She was not there. He bought a cold drink from the man behind the counter, an older Navajo man named Ed who had been running the place for 20 years, and asked without quite asking whether the woman who sold jewelry there came in regularly. Ed looked at him for a long moment. "Nora comes in Tuesdays and Fridays," he said. Cole nodded, drank his drink, left. He came back Friday. She was behind the glass case on the left side of the store, arranging a new set of earrings on a display stand. She had her hair pulled back and was wearing a clay-colored work shirt, and she did not see him come in. He stood near the door for a moment. He was aware that he was nervous, which was unusual for him. He had faced down angry cattle and bad weather and a father who expressed disappointment loudly and often. Nervous was not something he experienced frequently. He walked up to the case. She looked up. The recognition moved across her face in stages, first just a person. Then the cowboy from Tuesday, then something else, something that tightened slightly around her eyes, not unfriendly but alert. "You came back," she said. "I had business in town," he said, "on a Friday. Fencing supplies," he said. "They run out of things." She looked at him steadily. She had her grandmother's eyes, people always said, dark and patient and not easily moved. "Can I look at your work?" he asked, nodding at the case. She stepped back and let him look. He bent over the glass and looked at everything carefully. He was not a man who knew a great deal about jewelry, but he knew craft. He had grown up watching his mother mend and make things, and he understood the difference between something done well and something done fast. "You made all of this?" he asked. "Everything in this case." He pointed to a small ring near the back, silver, simple, with a thin line of inlay along the band. "What's that one?" "That's a man's ring," she said. "Size 10. "What's the inlay?" "Turquoise and coral, traditional pattern. My grandmother taught me that one." He stood up straight and looked at her. "Your grandmother," he said. "The ring you lost on Tuesday." Something shifted in her expression, not much, barely visible, but he caught it. "Yes," she said. "She made it herself." "She did." He nodded slowly, as if this confirmed something he had already suspected. "I'd like to buy something," he said. "But I don't know what yet. Can I come back?" She tilted her head slightly. It was not quite amusement and not quite suspicion. It was a look that said she was running calculations on him and had not finished yet. "The store is open Tuesday through Saturday," she said, 10 to 5. "I'll come Tuesday," he said. He came Tuesday, and Wednesday, and the Friday after that. Each time he bought something small, a bracelet for his mother, a pin for no one in particular, a small fetish carving she had traded in from another artist. He was not extravagant. He was not trying to impress her with money. He just kept showing up and buying things and asking questions about the work and listening to the answers like they mattered, because they did. Ed, behind the counter, watched all of this with the patience of a man who had seen many things and had opinions about most of them. On the fourth visit, Nora came around the counter and showed Cole how the inlay work on a cuff bracelet had been done, tracing the line of turquoise with one finger. He leaned in to see. They were standing close. She could smell the outdoors on him, clean air and sun and something that was just him. She stepped back. "You're not actually here for the fencing supplies," she said. He looked at her. He did not deny it. "No," he said, "I'm not." There was a long pause. Outside, a truck passed on the highway. Inside, Ed suddenly found something very important to do in the back room. "You said if I found the ring, you would have to marry me," Cole said. "I said that as a joke." "I know. You know that." "Yes." She folded her arms, not defensively, more like she was holding something in place while she decided what to do with it. "So what are you doing here, Cole?" He had told her his name on the second visit. She had told him hers, which he had already learned from Ed but had waited to hear from her. "I came to ask if you'd have dinner with me," he said. "That's all, just dinner. No rings required." The corner of her mouth moved. "That's all," she said. "For now," he said. She looked at him for a long moment, long enough that another man might have gotten uncomfortable and filled the silence with something. He did not fill it, he just waited. "Tuesday," she said. 6 o'clock. There's a place in town called Cora's. Do you know it?" "I'll find it." "You found my ring," she said. "I imagine you can find a restaurant." She went back behind the counter. He put his hat on and walked to the door. This time, at the threshold, he looked back. She was already watching. Neither of them said anything. He walked out. The door swung shut behind him. Ed came back from the back room carrying nothing at all and did not say a word, which was, in its own way, everything. The dinner at Cora's lasted 3 hours, not because either of them was trying to stretch it. Because it kept going naturally, the way conversations do when two people are genuinely interested in each other and neither one is performing. They talked about the land. They talked about their families. They talked about the ways things end and the ways they begin. Cole talked about his father with the measured honesty of a man who had spent years sorting through something complicated and had mostly gotten to the other side. Nora talked about leaving the reservation for college and what it cost her to go and what it cost her to come back, and how both things were the right choice and neither one was simple. She did not talk about the ring again that night. He did not bring it up. But when they walked out to the parking lot at the end of the evening and she turned to say goodnight, she was turning the silver band around her finger, the way she did when she was thinking hard about something. He noticed. He did not mention it. "Next weekend," he said. "If you want." "I'll think about it," she said. She called him the next morning, 7:15. He was already out on the fence line. "I thought about it," she said. "And Saturday," she said. "There's a canyon I want to show you." The canyon was 3 miles from her house, accessible by a trail that most people drove past without knowing it was there. She had been going there since she was a girl. It was not a secret exactly, but it was not advertised either. She had never taken anyone there who was not family. She told herself it was just a walk. Cole showed up at her house on Saturday morning wearing the same work boots and a clean shirt. He had brought coffee in a thermos, 2 cups, no explanation. Just held one out to her when she opened the door. She took it without comment and they walked. The canyon was exactly what it was: red walls, a dry creek bed with smooth stones, cottonwood trees that had no business growing there but did anyway, stubborn and silver-leafed. She showed him the place near the south wall where the rock changed color from red to almost purple, a seam in the geology that she had spent years trying to understand. He crouched down and pressed his palm to the rock the way she had seen him press his hand to the porch boards. Trying to feel the thing, not just see it. "My grandmother used to say the earth has a memory," Nora said, "that the rock remembers everything that has ever pressed against it." He looked up at her. "Do you believe that?" he asked. She thought about it. "I believe some things press harder than others," she said, "and those are the ones that stay." He looked at her for a moment, then he stood up and they kept walking. They did not hold hands. They did not need to yet. But they walked close, close enough that their arms brushed occasionally on the narrow parts of the trail, and neither of them moved away. Over the following months, he became a regular presence in her life in the careful, unforced way that things become real when they are not being pushed. He came to town on Tuesdays and Fridays. He helped her move a heavy shelving unit in the studio. She drove out to his ranch once and met his horses, 3 of them, and the way he spoke to them told her things about him that 3 months of dinners had not. His mother called her the first time in November. It was a brief call, warm, not prying. The kind of call that is really just a person introducing themselves so that the name will be familiar when it matters. Nora hung up and sat very still for a moment. Then she called her own mother. Her mother, a woman named Ruth who did not waste words, listened to everything Nora said without interrupting. When Nora was done, Ruth said, "You sound different." "Different how?" "Steadier," Ruth said, "like you put something down." Nora did not answer right away. "I don't know what I put down," she said. "You will," said Ruth, and hung up. Cole's ranch was 60 miles from the trading post, not impossible, not easy, a distance that required choosing. Both of them understood this without saying it directly, the way people who have both already survived hard things understand the weight of logistics. They talked about it once, in January, sitting on the porch of her house with the stars out cold and bright above the mesa. "I'm not asking you to move," he said. "I'm not asking anything." "I know," she said. "I just want you to know I'm not going anywhere." She turned the ring on her finger. "I'm not either," she said. "There are things between two people that happen in the space between words. Not gestures, not touches, not even looks. Just the simple gravity of two people who have stopped pretending they might walk away. It happened then. Neither of them announced it. Neither of them needed to. He stayed for dinner. She made something simple. He washed the dishes after without being asked. And when he left, he drove 60 miles home in the dark and did not feel the distance at all. It was February before she let herself say out loud to her best friend Della what she had known since that canyon walk in October. Della, who had been watching this unfold from a distance with barely restrained glee, set down her coffee cup and said, "So when he asks you—" "He hasn't asked anything," Nora said. "When he does," Della said. Nora looked out the window at the red dirt road. "He found the ring," she said. Della stared at her. "What does that mean?" "Nothing," said Nora. "Everything." She did not explain further. Della, who had been her friend since the 6th grade, understood that some doors Nora opened from the inside, on her own schedule, and the best thing anyone could do was stand nearby and wait. Cole, 60 miles away, was standing at a jewelry counter in Albuquerque. He had been standing there for 20 minutes. The jeweler, a patient older man named Art who had seen a great many nervous people in his 30 years of business, was showing him the 4th tray. "Something simple," Cole had said when he first walked in. "Do you know her taste?" Art asked. Cole thought about the ring on her finger, the silver, the turquoise, the simplicity of a thing made to be worn every day by someone who did not need decoration to feel complete. "I know exactly her taste," he said. Art set down the 4th tray. Cole looked at it. He pointed to a ring near the left corner. "That one," he said. It was silver, simple band, a single turquoise stone, deep blue-green, set low so it would not catch on things, understated. The kind of ring that is not trying to be anything other than what it is. Art held it up in the light. "Good eye," Art said. "That stone is exceptional. Old mine turquoise, they don't cut it that way anymore." Cole held it between his fingers. It felt like something that had been waiting. He bought it and drove home and put it in the small wooden box on his dresser that held the few things he kept that mattered. His grandfather's watch, a photograph, a pocket knife that had been his uncle's. He did not rush. She had said it as a joke that first afternoon in the red dirt. "If you find the ring, I would have to marry you." He had found it. But that was not why he was holding this ring. He was holding this ring because of the canyon, and because of the way she talked about her grandmother's hands, and because of the way she had said, "Just me." That first day with a certainty he had recognized as the rarest kind, the kind that comes from a person who has already done the work of knowing themselves. He put the box in the top drawer. He waited for the right moment the way he waited for everything, not passively, not impatiently, just with the attention of someone who understood that timing is not luck. It is reading. March came. The land began to warm. He drove out to her studio on a Saturday, and she was working, a piece of silver under the torch, focused and in her world, and he sat in the doorway and watched her work without interrupting because some things deserve to be witnessed whole. She finished the piece. Set down the torch, looked up. He was sitting in the doorway with the morning light behind him. She looked at him the way she had looked at him across the trading post counter that first Tuesday he came back. Calculating, patient, arriving at something. "You've got a look on your face," she said. "Do I? You look like you're about to do something." He reached into his jacket pocket and took out the small wooden box and set it on the worktable beside her tools. She looked at it. She did not touch it yet. "Cole," she said. "I know what you're going to say. Do you?" "You're going to say it was a joke," he said. She looked at him. "It was a joke," she said. Her voice was level. Her hands had gone very still. "I know," he said. "Open the box." She opened the box. The ring inside caught the studio light and threw it back blue and silver. She looked at it for a long moment, long enough that the whole room seemed to hold its breath. Then she looked at him. And the look on her face was not what she had expected to feel when she thought about this moment, not in the abstract. She had thought she would feel cautious. She had thought she would need time. She had thought she would want to think. She did not want to think. Her grandmother's ring was on her right hand. The stone was turquoise. The hands that had shaped it were gone, but the work remained, the way work does when it is made with enough care. This ring, the one in the box, was a different thing. It was not history. It was not inheritance. It was a question, asked without words by a man who had crouched in the dirt with her without being asked, and put a porch board back with care, and driven 60 miles in the dark without complaint for months. "You said you weren't asking anything," she said. "I lied," he said. Her breath came out unsteady. She picked up the ring, she held it in her palm. It was the right weight, the right simplicity. He had understood without being told the precise kind of thing she would wear. She looked at him for a long time. "Yes," she said, not dramatically, not in tears, just clearly the way she said things with the full weight of herself behind the word. He let out a breath he had been keeping in for a while. She put the ring on. It fit. She looked at her hands, both rings, 2 different silvers, 2 different histories. "How did you know the size?" she said. "Ed told me." She stared at him. "Ed," she repeated. "He is very observant," Cole said, "and he likes me." She laughed. It came out of her like something released from a long grip. Real and uncomplicated and full, the kind of laugh that fills a room. He crossed the studio floor and she met him halfway. Outside, the New Mexico morning was opening up over the mesa. That particular light that comes when the sun has just cleared the ridge and the red rock goes briefly gold before settling back to itself. Her mother, Ruth, heard the news by phone that evening. She did not say much. When Nora was done talking, Ruth said, "Does he know what he is walking into?" "He put a porch board back exactly as he found it," Nora said. "He knows." Ruth was quiet. "Good," she said. Della reached next, said 17 things in rapid sequence, and cried on and off for 20 minutes. Cole's mother drove 4 hours for dinner the following weekend and sat across the table from Nora and held her hands and looked at both rings and said nothing for a moment that felt like a blessing. Cole sat back and watched the 2 women and did not say much. He had found the ring. That had been the joke, the casual throw of a line from a woman who had not expected anyone to catch it, who had maybe thrown it because she half wanted someone to try, because some parts of us make offers our careful minds have not approved yet. He had found it, all of it, the ring in the dirt, the woman on the porch, the canyon, the 60 miles, the small wooden box, the ring in the light. He had found everything. And Nora Redcloud, who had spent 31 years knowing herself with precision, had not expected to be surprised. She had been completely, entirely, undeniably surprised. She turned the new ring on her finger, the way she turned things when she was thinking, and looked across the table at the man who had crouched in the dust beside her without being asked, and lifted a porch board with care and given her something back that she had not known she was about to lose. Not just the ring, the other thing, the one without a name yet. She was going to spend a long time learning its name. She did not mind that at all.